Nutrition and health education. So we talked a little bit earlier about schools and our work in schools, and we talked about Campus Pantry. Our Cookshop program is another program that we offer to New York City public schools, and it's over 23 years that we've been doing this program. We're in over 200 schools in New York City that participated in this last year, 2,000 classrooms, and that's really about nutrition education. So we have 50,000 children and caregivers who participate in what we call Cookshop, and Cookshop really is about ensuring that starting from really small and young, that we're educating young children on the importance of nutrition. So we have a curriculum that we train New York City public school teachers on to be able to then go into their classrooms and incorporate education with nutrition. So it's really fun. Teachers are able to do really creative things with the Cookshop program, where students are on site making little fun recipes, but the teachers are also tying that to the learning, right? What we've noticed with Cookshop is that attendance increases on Cookshop days, one, because it's fun. Students get to participate in this lesson, which the teacher leads, but it's all about healthy nutrition. And then they get to taste. One of the sayings is, don't yuck my yum. So if you, this is really for the elementary ones, but if you, so everyone has to taste at the same time, right? Because what's gonna happen if I taste it and I go, oh, nobody else is gonna try it. So don't yuck my yum is the motto for Cookshop. So everybody has to taste together. But this is really important. I think I remember a story where there was a Cookshop classroom and they had fresh potatoes were in some way a part of that conversation. And children actually didn't know that French fries came from an actual potato. They actually just thought they just were created that way in those little crinkly cuts. But they didn't actually know that there's actually a potato that is grown, and then that's how you get fries. So again, the education is so important, right? When you think about access and when you think about exposure, and where children in schools that are in communities that they don't have a lot of resources, how would they actually know about some of these things? So this is a really important program. Brady, do you want to add anything about Cookshop?
That's what I'd add. I mean,
when we work with schools, we're working with schools that are have incredibly high free and reduced meal participation at the school too. So again, like everything else that we're doing, and you'll see the stat on here that says 68% of the schools are in the highest meal gap areas. So every single program that we talk about, we're focusing strategically in these areas where they typically have a lack of this kind of programming. And actually tonight we're training 500 teachers across the street from our offices right now. So we might hop over there after this and see how things are going. But yeah, it's a huge endeavor. We're going to, between this and last Saturday, we're training 1,000 teachers total this year. And those are just the new teachers. All the veterans, they get a short training that they can do online. But it's a really large endeavor. And what's great about this, you see we've been doing this for 23 years. Because we had these relationships with the schools, that's how Campus Pantry got to grow. So we had the engagement with the schools. They knew that they could trust us with the education. They knew that we were fulfilling our mission this way, so that when we had this concept of, let's start a Campus Pantry program, they're like, okay, well, come on. We already had fans, and we were able to build that program up. So that's one of the reasons why we're able to jump from 15 Campus Pantries to about 35 this year. And it's a really great relationship that we've had. I would add, just tying two things together along those lines, the 20-odd schools that we're adding on to Campus Pantry this year, we have an experimental model where it's not just food, but it's hygiene items available at the pantry as well, because we know that there's an ongoing need. So because we know that the non-food items are really important, especially the hygiene items, we're going to make those available as a test in some of our Campus Pantries this year and see how that works out over time. But really thrilled to be testing that out this year.
So this is a little bit about our anti-poverty programming, and we've talked a lot about SNAP. I think you guys got a lot of information on SNAP thus far. So this is just, again, another snapshot of the way in which we engage our member agencies around SNAP. So what we want to do at Food Bank for New York City is really work with our member network, train them, and give them the tools that they need to do that direct SNAP work, right? Food Bank for New York City really leads the way in training and educating, and then bringing all of our member agencies to a place where they can then perform SNAP on their own at the pantry. What's really important about that is the opportunity to maximize in the moment where a client is coming to you for food. They're there. You can do a quick screening and ask them 4 basic questions about SNAP to determine some level of eligibility, and then have them go on to a full screening. And we do have pantries that have the ability to do a full-on SNAP submission on application on site. So you'll see here the percentage of our SNAP submissions by partners has increased. So it was 35%, and now it's up to 61%. Which is, oh wow, the highest percentage among like food banks, which is really, really incredible. And that just, again, demonstrates the work that we are doing with our agency to build capacity, as I talked about a few slides back, and really get them the tools that they need, the resources to be able to do the work. And this is about our tax program. So we filed a little over 92,000 tax returns. And I'm moving away, let's back up, resulting in 134 million, wow, in returns. But since 2002, this number is gonna be crazy, 600K plus in tax returns. What does that equal, Brady? $1 billion in refunds. So again, tremendous, that number is. It's, again, very important for the families that we serve to be able to get those dollars returned to them. And create opportunities for them for their own purchasing power. So, and volunteer engagement. So we need you all to volunteer with us. We need a lot of volunteers to run our operation, right? Our member agencies need volunteers for things like helping them to unload the truck, helping them to stock the pantry shelves, helping them to actually serve clients when they show up. We have many of our agencies that actually are seniors are working in them, and they've been there for a really long time. Sometimes they aren't able to physically do some of the work, so the volunteers play a tremendous role in the work that we do. In our soup kitchen, we have volunteers who serve hot food, so they are, before they even get to service, they're chopping and dicing and preparing and cutting vegetables for the chef to actually prepare, and then they're doing the work to serve the meals. So volunteers play a critical role in our day-to-day operation, and the more the merrier. We would love to have you all volunteer with us. And it's also a great experience. You know, it's very insightful, I'd say, and it's a great opportunity to really see the mission in action, to be on site, to actually have firsthand experience and see what all of the things that we've talked about actually really look like on the ground, and to see how grateful and thankful people are. You can't get enough smiles and enough thank yous as people walk by, and enough God bless yous, because people really appreciate what's happening. So it's so important. So our website is there. If anybody is interested in volunteering, go in. You'll see our link to our volunteer portal, and we would love to have you. So, I think we're done.